I want to quickly talk a little bit about the Trump rape case and why it's not being covered. Oh my God, I'm a nasty woman and I'm so anti-Trump. Nah, like I think we get so shout out to all my nasty women and my bad hombres. That was on purpose. My bad hombre.
No, it's mixtape title. Nasty Women and Bad Hombres.
Yo, that's my daughter said, oh, that sounds like a 90s band that like complains about like how hard it was growing up in the suburbs or something. But my deplorables and my basement dwellers, shout out to my sheeple. Gotta insult everybody, be equal opportunity. But no, seriously, I mean, it's a very good question that's been put forward about why the campaigns, why the Clinton campaign, why the Democrats, why the media. And I know some people have said they haven't really talked about the Trump rape case because the accuser is anonymous. I don't know when it's issues and allegations, has that ever stopped anyone from reporting anything? Of this level. I mean, we have a presidential candidate that is being sued for rape. He can't be charged because of the statute of limitations that happened in 1994. This woman is my age. She was 13 in 1994. And the allegations involve the Democrats and the Republicans' favorite billionaire pedophile, Epstein, captain of the Lolita Express, friend to Trump and Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew and apparently a whole lot of other very important people, Tony Blair. But what strikes me more so about this conversation, and I hate the fact that the sexual assault allegations on both sides, the rape charges, I hate that it's become so partisan and it's being used as fodder to fight. But I do think we need to have a conversation about the fact that this type of situation is happening with someone who's running for office and the highest office in the land. And again, we can get into, people brought up before about Hillary Clinton and allegations that she was an enabler. And it was a really disturbing exchange earlier today that I saw. There was a woman who's voting for Secretary Clinton, and she was just talking about how she doesn't really care if she was an enabler. And now we're finding out more, because again, Bill Clinton also has been involved with Epstein and going to his little private pleasure island. Epstein did I think a 12 months or 18 months in jail in Florida, for basically running a sex trade with underage girls. And forcing them to have sex with his famous and powerful political friends. And Bill Clinton has taken trips to this pleasure island, for lack of a better term, before, and left his Secret Service behind. Now, I suspect that not only his connection to Bill Clinton, but also Hillary, even after he was found to have been engaging this behavior, he was still donating money to the Clinton Foundation. It looks very bad. Optically, it looks very bad that you hang out with pedophiles. It looks very bad that one of your senior staffers is married to a possible pedophile. I mean, when the Wiener scandal first broke, I think it was in 2011, 2012. Part of it was he was involved in communicating with a 17-year-old girl. Among all the women, she was 17 on Twitter. And this was known internally to the campaign. And they weren't the campaign then, they were her staffers while she was Secretary of State. And now we see there's a 15-year-old girl involved. And there are some allegations that people knew or had reason to know that this type of abuse of power and engaging in activity with underage girls has been known. And my issue is not that I think we need to, run attack ads or anything like that. But the fact that this woman was willing to come forward today until people were harassing her attorney, Lisa Bloom, speaks volumes. I think this type of stuff needs to be bigger than elections. We need to have a conversation about the abuse of power and the way, sex trafficking and these issues permeate across. The fact that prostitutes are the ones who face considerable, criminal persecution. And even if you're an underage prostitute, right, you can be charged with prostitution. Your John may or may not ever get a charge of anything involving statutory rape or anything like that. And the way these types of sex crimes, the way these issues are sounding like I'm talking about an SVU episode. This is actually like 3 or 4 different SVU episodes put together, right? but there's a real problem in the way this conversation is unfolding, and watching feminists break their necks to defend a woman that has enabled and allowed this environment around her to occur is so highly problematic and detrimental to further fights for equality and justice for girls and women overall, and sexual power and accountability, and it just floors me. Go ahead, Brandon.
uh, at the risk of being, I always feel a little bit self-conscious talking about this topic, especially with what I'm going to say right now, and like it's going to be a bit inflammatory, so I warn you about that, but like not offensive. I think in the past, with the dominant discourse on rape culture in society and what we see in the media right now, I think if, and especially the way we turn a blind eye to some sexual assault victims in favor of boosting the voices of other sexual assault victims, we can say something very clear right now. Problem with crime, whether it be sexual assault or any other crime, when it happens to a very specific subpopulation. When we're talking about the upper middle class white college female who's the victim of heteronormative rape, who's the victim of some kind of sexual assault, that a population that we already view as valuable, because the majority of sexual assaults occur to people of color, are non-heteronormative, to males, to the vast majority. We pay attention to the vast minority of rapes because they fit this kind of dominant discourse regarding what sex should, our dominant discourse around sex. I know rape is not necessarily about sex, obviously, but the way we handle it is about sex. And America simply does not have a cogent conversation about rape, because America at its core views that certain populations are deserving of torture, that certain populations exist within our society to be tortured, and that's just the way society functions. So hard time conceptualizing why we should, and also certain parts of our population are allowed to torture other populations. Let's talk about, the first rape culture was the Native Americans and the slaves. And we have yet to have any kind of adequate discourse about all of that sexual assault. And Native women are still sexually assaulted at the highest rates of any women in America. Talk about sexual assault and victims of sexual assault. What we're talking about is, how can we expand this conversation? How can we expand our empathy to encompass people who we do not already view as dominant and worthy of protecting? And I mean, America doesn't have a problem with valuing white female 18 to 27-year-old upper middle class sexuality. That's what the first movie was about. Birth of a Nation was about the dangers that white women face in terms of rape.
And that's how the KKK was able to spread its messaging, right? I mean, when we talk about how Donald Trump is voting against Donald Trump is defeating white supremacy. White supremacy, this is another way white supremacy has infused itself, was birthed into the nation itself. And this is a conversation that we definitely need to continue having. And I would love to have you come back and join me, and I'll try and bring in some of the ladies from the sisterhood as well. See, you get to be the only guy in the room with one of my ladies groups. But anyway, that is my first edition of Wonder Woman Wednesday. Thank you so much, Brandon, for joining me.